I really enjoyed Terminator Resistance for what it was. I'm also glad I got it during the recent winter sale on Steam for $29 as opposed to what I was going to do and get it on console at the full price of $60. Luckily, it did release on PC before it hit console, saving me some money, which is an important consideration when looking at Terminator Resistance. It's currently 2020, and this game was released in late 2019. We have certain expectations for games nowadays, such as, cutting-edge graphics, high-resolution textures, photorealistic human characters, and Terminator Resistance has none of that. The game looks like it could have been released during the 360/PS3 generation, and had it been, it would have been a great-looking game for that era. Now, I'm not really trying to jump out of the gate bashing the game's graphics, but when you start the game, it immediately stands out if you've been playing more recent shooters. But once you get into the game and get used to how it looks, it never really is an issue. Occasionally you'll get up close to a muddy texture that reminds you that this game was designed on a tighter budget, but for the most part it's fine. So what does the game do right? Absolutely pretty much everything else. The game definitely nails the look and feel of the Terminator universe. Being able to spend time in the future and participating in the war and watching the story that we kind of already know play out, it's fantastic. While the movie already tells us how the story plays out, it's fun to see what actually happened during that time and meet some of the characters involved. Growing up, Terminator 2 was one of my favorite movies, and probably still is, to be honest with you, so this game has a fairly large soft spot for me. Or really, I for it. But in addition to finding out what happened in the future, which is an odd thing to kind of say, you do get to take down a lot of Terminators, and I found the gunplay to be satisfying and fun. You have conventional weapons as well as future weapons to choose from, and they all tend to handle pretty much the same, but luckily it's in a way that I felt was engaging. The future weapons, need to be unlocked, and will naturally be as the game progresses. The future weapons are from Skynet, and in order to use them, you essentially need to pretty much make it so humans are able to use them, because, Skynet's all machines and whatnot. It's a mechanic that's been used in other games, but in Terminator Resistance, it basically locks their use behind a wall early in the game, so they can force you into some stealth bits since conventional weapons do no damage to Terminators, even though nearly all other enemies take damage from them, and they appear to be made out of the same stuff, but who knows, maybe there's some lore in there that talks about that. I don't know, I didn't see it. But it is a bit frustrating, as the stealth areas are fairly easy to navigate, and the AI is slow to respond, and they will lose you quickly. It feels like forced stealth for the sake of having a stealth section. I would have probably enjoyed it more if those sections had been more engaging as opposed to just a game of hide and seek. I was craving having multiple ways to dispatch the Terminator silently and moving on as opposed to just hiding. You do get access to a Terminator knife later that can be used to quietly take them down, but it's a limited single-use weapon. I see what they were trying to do with the stealth, but for me it fell flat. Thankfully, the gunfights were engaging enough to keep me interested. When you're not in combat, there are areas that can be explored and side quests to embark on. The side quests typically involved exploring an area and finding an item or multiple items, while occasionally confronting some enemies. Nothing groundbreaking, but a welcome diversion. Personally, I enjoy the short side quests that don't take your attention away from the main quest too long, so these are perfectly fine in my opinion. Along the way through the story, you will encounter bases that you can engage with. These are Terminator strongholds that are populated with multiple enemies and turrets. You can either sneak in and hack it to destroy it, or go in guns blazing to destroy it by shooting the plasma containers. Your choice. I chose the gun blazing route. These are not necessary for completing the main story, but they don't take you off the beaten path very far and reward you with decent experience points, so they're a worthwhile diversion. Terminator Resistance also includes minigames for hacking and lockpicking. If you're a fan of the Fallout games, then you'll feel right at home with the lockpicking minigame. It's essentially identical. The hacking minigame is basically Frogger, so if you like Frogger, you'll like the hacking in Terminator Resistance. Luckily, I enjoyed both minigames and became quite proficient at hacking. As you level up, you can pump points into being able to lockpick or hack higher level doors or enemies, but I don't believe it's essential to the game. Those upgrading the skills will eventually help you get some better gear or make certain areas easier, however. Most of the game is spent in wrecked, war-torn cities, filled with dirt and concrete. Later in the game, you'll visit an area overgrown with some vegetation, which is a nice surprise and did a great job of breaking up the scenery. Your home base also moves a few times, but other than serving as an area to resupply and get some side quests, there's not really a whole lot to do there. The environments do the movie justice and feel very believable as parts of the Terminator universe. I enjoyed my time with the game and would highly recommend it if you're a Terminator fan and have been wanting a game that would represent the franchise well. Just like the movies themselves, the good ones were made many years ago, so it seems fitting that the game also feels like it's from a few years ago. If you can get it on sale, go for it. Even at $60 for the console release, it's still a fun game to play. You'll just be left wondering where all that extra money went.